everybody, I'm Tommy and you are on the Love Boat. What's happening this morning? You know what? Last time I looked, let me make sure I'm looking again. It is Monday. It's Monday the 21st of July. This is a big day for me. This is a day that I very often struggle with. The 21st of July is my dad's birthday. Jane Aldrich, good to see you. Roberta, Sandy, Wendy, how are you? Kristen, Melinda. This is a day that for the longest time, like the anniversary of my dad's death, his birthday. Roberta, I struggle with those days because he's not here. This one's been different. Like I woke up at 4:30. I woke up a little earlier than that, if I'm going to be honest. Today was the day that I got up early. But before Tony Suter gets upset with me, I went to bed way earlier. Hey, Brock Bandy, good to see you, because I didn't go live for a full show last night. It's the mantra. Good to see you. Welcome to the boat. I don't know that I've ever said hello to you. Because I didn't do the show last night, I got a lot more sleep, so I woke up a little bit earlier. Hey, cat, stop that. Zoomy, every morning. What is it with your cat? Man, oh man! But it just felt different. This was a very different dad's birthday, and I think it's probably because I'm in a really good place. Hey, Barbara, how are you? I think I'm just in a better place in my dome. Jane, good to see you. Thanks for Jane sent me a really lovely email. And she makes me laugh, which is good too. Joey girl, how are you? Listening while you work. I love it. You're getting over on the boss. That's awesome. B lady, how are you? You know something funny, people? This morning, stuff that we do here on the boat, I said, I'm going to challenge you guys to do 30 days of journaling. And I will come on every morning and I will talk about journaling and we'll do a positive message thing. I can't remember who requested it anymore. Yeah, I do. V-Bombs requested it. V-Bombs from New York said, is there any way you can sort of kick us off, give us some kind of an assignment or something so that I can just get the ball rolling in that direction? Lisa Trimble, can't tag everybody, you're exhausted. You aren't too exhausted to remember what day this was. I appreciate you, Lisa Trimble. So does my brother. Always have an earbud in my ear with long hair and no one knows the stuff I absorb all day long. You're killing it. So you know something? Good stuff in versus garbage in, garbage out. Smack that like button, people. It's the payday. It's how I get paid. Please do that. I appreciate it. Kristen Melinda, good to see you. I'm in a better headspace than I've been on his birthday since he passed. Kind of ironic because if you went back 3 or 4 months, I was in the worst headspace that I've ever been, honestly. And I started to have a paradigm shift. And there are some people, if I were to take the time to thank everybody, it would be almost an impossible thing to do, because sometimes my cat's just on one. Sometimes she's just an idiot. It's like she drinks before we get up or something. It's very easy to focus on the negative ends of things. I joke and I say, if you gave somebody, $100 and $1 million, and they'd say, you couldn't give these to me in $100 bills. I mean, in 20s, this thing weighs over 100 pounds. There are people who are always going to look at the negative in everything. And I've been doing that, right? When I talk about what the explosion that kind of changed the channel and changed my life and the direction and the trajectory of my life, when I talk about that stuff, I tend to talk about the people that left the lifeboat, right? I lost 20% of my audience. Can we get some thoughts and prayers for Lisa's dog, please? Can we get some ones for her fur baby? I talk about the amount of income that went away when the explosion happened. And then, every once in a while, you're journaling, you're meditating, you're praying, and something just hits you like a ton of bricks. The worst thing that ever happened to me on planet Earth was my addiction to heroin. Second to that, I would have listed as going to prison. But the truth of the matter is, if I didn't go to prison, I would not be the person I am today. As much as that was the ugliest thing that ever happened to me, we saw Smokes, good to see you. The amount of growth in my life that happened because I went to prison is fascinating. It really is. If you look back at it, especially being me, if it was a biographer, it would be fascinating. But when it's yourself and you can see exactly what happened to you, that is something else. It's amazing to me that so often as human beings, the only thing that sharpens us is when you have to overcome something that you much rather would not want to overcome. Nobody wants to go through trials and tribulations. And sadly, I think that we kind of need to embrace them. And the sad part is this: because we're so afraid of them, because we're so afraid of times that are kicking our butt, we miss the growth that can happen through all of those times. That video did more wonders for my life. You couldn't have sold me on that idea a while ago, but that video has done more wonders for my life than going to prison did. You know, one of the first things that it did, it clarified in a very big way. I talked about people and how much the crew of the lifeboat meant to me. 20% of them went from I love you to I hate you in 72 hours. And they didn't just go away. A great many of them took the time to tell me they hated me. I wasn't given an opportunity to tell people, you know, what my side was or any of that thing. I mean, before the sun was up, I was hated. And those are not the people I need in my life. There were people that I crapped on through that because I thought they were on the other side, who prayed for me the entire time. Those people had an effect on me. Hey, Cheryl, good to see you. Archie's mom, how are you? Tony Suter, good to see you this morning. Those people changed the trajectory of my life. And some of them, you're never going to know, right? You guys see each other every day. So I'm going to use this person's name because they use it. But Sin Starseo, whose real name is William Elias, left me a comment, and I'm answering as many comments as I can these days. And I didn't make a decision to do that. I just started feeling guilty if I didn't. And that was the early days of the lifeboat. I didn't miss a comment for years. So I've been answering comments, and the person left a comment that said, you know what? It was on a video where I talked about some people that are going to leave because of things that I said or whatever. And he said, I'm not going to leave. You don't have to worry about that. I'm not going to leave. And I thanked him and I said, you know what? You're one of the good ones. I really appreciate it. And I didn't say it because he's not leaving. I said it because this dude's left way over 100 comments. And a lot of them have just been fantastic. This is someone that's fixing their life and has really taken this seriously. You can buy 5,000 self-help books. But if you just set one goal tomorrow morning and actually do it, it's better than all of those self-help books combined. Because inaction kills you. Action propels you forward. This dude's taking action to change his life. And he's sober. And he wrote a really beautiful comment. The reason I said that you're one of the good ones, he said, the only reason I'm one of the good ones is because of you and people like you. And went on, it was absolutely beautiful. But it ended with, I hope maybe someday I could do something for you. I'm going to tell you something, and this is the gospel truth. I would have quit doing what I do if it wasn't for William. And the fact that I never said that to him is awful. But he in particular, it was one day, and there was a comment, and it came at a time where I had just finished telling the two people in my life that I still talk to all of the time that this is it. I'm yanking the plug today. And I don't mean I'm not going to make content anymore. I mean, I'm going to take my channel down. And I was going to do this because I was driven by hate, because I wasn't doing the things that I do when I'm being successful, like staring at a blank page and writing down stuff that I'm grateful for, right? But he hopes someday he can do something for me. I don't think you have any idea how much all of you do for me, right? For real. I don't spend enough time telling you all just how much I get back from doing what I do here. When people say, you know what, thank you, I really appreciate it. I get a lot out of this. I really do. And the people who, I had a comment that said, just wanted to say thank you from Germany. And it just tickled me. You know, we really are all over the world with what we do. And this was 30 days. I was going to come on. I was going to do the morning show for 30 days so that I could help you guys get the ball rolling on journaling. So when the 30 days is up, you know, I'm going to do another 30 days. And we may not talk about, you know, specifically about journaling in those next 30 days, but I'm going to do this morning show until I can't do it anymore. Barbara Aldrich, good to see you. Caroline, I'm glad you're here, because this is feeding me in a way that I promise is probably more profound than it's feeding you. But I had a bunch of epiphanies recently. And because we very much were trying to focus kind of on journaling, it's probably important to let you know that the epiphanies come through journaling. I don't sit in a room and go, oh, right? That doesn't happen. It happens when I'm journaling or when I'm praying or when I'm meditating, but it's always in moments of reflection. And the best moments of reflection for me happen when I'm journaling. I mean, prayer is huge for me. It's a huge part of my life. But when God speaks to me, he doesn't do it in a way that I can read back later. He may help when I'm journaling or whatever, but when I'm journaling, I am peeling onions. I am looking at things inside my dome that I'm not going to see any other way. And I did the show on body image, and I got more positive feedback from that show than I've ever gotten from any other show. I don't mean more people responded, because I've had shows that, we got 1,000 or 2,000 comments on or whatever. But I mean the kind of positive, like people really thinking about what they wrote and really sharing things that I bet they've never said before. No show has ever quite been like that one. Tommy, I really don't think you know how much you have helped me in the past few weeks. So glad that the Love Boat exists. Me too. And I love it when people when this is helping people. And I know it is. I know it is. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that when you get 35 or 40 people together, or 50 people, 60 people together, whose attitude is all going in this direction, you can't help but be uplifted by it. But there's danger in that. There's danger in that. And the question for today, people, and you can write this down in your journal. If you're not journaling, this is even more important for you. What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Because I journaled my butt off about this. I know what I'm afraid of. And I didn't know before I was journaling. Johnny Scoville picks on me. I pick on him. We're brothers. We've been doing this for as long as we've been on planet Earth. And my favorite thing to pick on him for is I like calling him a legend, because it grinds his gears something fierce. But the effect that he had on that community is a legend. I mean, maybe not in Hollywood, but in the pepper community, the cat's a legend. I mean, he really is. Do I have an ocean near you? Joey girl, I have an ocean about 50 yards away. I'm going to take and do some, you're funny. I will take everybody down. I promise. I will film the next time I'm in the ocean. We go there a lot. This is one of those things. The what are you afraid of thing. When Johnny wants to grind my gears, he calls me a guru. And he does it because I really love calling him a legend, because it grinds his gears. He loves grinding my gears. The reason, though, that it grinds my gears is because I counted 4, and then I just ran out of energy. But I've done at least 4 shows that were titled "There Are No Gurus" or some variation thereof. I don't like gurus. I don't like the concept of gurus. I don't like reading books by gurus. And I've gotten hung up. Shut up, Johnny. I've gotten hung up on that. And it's held me back. Instead of moving forward and looking at things in a certain way, I'm allowing the world to influence me. And I wish I could remember who said it. But a very famous writer wrote that the definition of courage is being yourself in a world that wants to change you into something else. And I am wildly guilty of not being myself, because I worry about what the world is going to say. And the craziest thing about that is I don't do things that would be very positive because I'm worried about what the world will say. One of the dangers, Dennis from Boston, how you doing, my brother? One of the dangers of doing what I do, especially if you're trying to help people or you're trying to give a positive message, is that you really open yourself up for a lot of negative messages and people, hey, Lindy, and people that are gonna trash you. And if I do uplifting stuff, and God forbid someone says guru, in the chat or whatever, the haters will run with it. You know what? I don't care, and I want you to pay attention right now, because on December the 4th, the first year that I had the lifeboat, you've probably heard this before, I made a New Year's resolution that I was never going to watch content that was made about me by anybody else. And I stuck with it. I've never watched a video. I didn't watch the video that was so dangerous and for my brand. I don't watch anything that people say about me. I don't. It's none of my business what people think about me. It's a great quote. I absolutely love it. So I'm making a New Year's resolution on July the 21st, 2025. I'm really getting a jump on it. You're never going to hear me talk about haters again. You're never going to hear me talk about the people that walked away. You're never going to hear me talk about any of that shite. For real. I come here and I talk to you about journaling, or I talk to you about gratitude, and I say, there are people that can take the exact same thing, and one can look at the negative side of it, one can look at the positive side of it. How about the people that didn't leave in the face of all that? I'm talking about the jackwagons that are tearing me down instead of the people that are praying for me. I'm shining a light on the asses of the world and not lifting up the beautiful souls of the world. And I'm telling you something, the people, this is the last time. You ain't got to worry about it. You're never going to hear this again. I promise you. Feel free to call me on it if I do it. Yeah. But the same people that will hack on me for being a fake guru are the same people that are going to call some of you fat. You see, these people don't feel good about themselves at all. It's their defining characteristic, self-hatred. So they lift themselves up. Johnny Scoville says, he wasn't going to talk about any of those alpha males by name because he doesn't talk about content creators. I don't either. They're not content creators. They're not. They're phonies, they're scumbags, and there are people that are out there doing exactly what people accused me of doing. These people don't come on and help people. They don't do the self-help thing unless you pay them a hell of a lot of money. They come on and tell stories, and then at the very end they go, and if you want to get where I'm at, brother, we've got a course going. But those phonies, right? I'm going to talk about them. Wes Watson, one of my favorites, because Wes Watson's an ex-con. And when he got out of prison, he came out and said, I was a shot caller on a yard in California. He wasn't. In fact, he got kicked out of California, which is never a good reason that they ship you from California to another state to do time. But everything about his life is a lie. But the part that should have jumped off the page at me more than anything else is, you went to prison for 8 years, and your takeaway from having 8 years of self-reflection is you need to work out more and get bigger. His whole message is, if you want to be a better person, right, you need to have muscles. And I swear to God, I'm not making this up. You also need to get some tattoos. He's literally tattooed his entire body. He's done his head, does all this. And if you look at him, you'd go, well, he's a convict. Yeah, but he did that on the street. He says that the most hateful things. He only refers to women as female dogs, right? He uses the B word all the time. Why am I talking about somebody that's this kind of a human being? Because this is now what is passing as an alpha male or a role model for a lot of young guys that don't have a father. When I was a kid, the stuff that we watched had the heroes and all of the stuff, like the Westerns and all of that. I used to watch Gunsmoke when I was a kid. And Matt Dillon, right? He wasn't going to, the marshal wasn't going to call a woman a bitch. It just didn't happen. And he also didn't run his suckhole nonstop. He never resorted to violence until he absolutely had to, right? That's an alpha male. He's smart enough to never have to go down that road and resort to violence unless you absolutely have to. But if you're an alpha male, you're prepared to. There are people in this life that are going to need to get punched in the grill because there's no other way to protect people. See, an alpha male, we get more testosterone. It's just kind of how we're born, right? Our body mass index, we're just going to be thicker. Our muscle mass is going to be bigger than the fairer and more intelligent sex. We don't communicate as well traditionally. And someone said yesterday in the chat, women are better communicators because they've got to do it a whole lot more to get through men's thick skulls. I'm paraphrasing, but I find that really funny because there's probably a hell of a lot of truth to it. But there are things that make us different between the two genders. That's a good thing, I promise. It really is. It's a beautiful thing. And if you're an alpha male, what it means is that you could go out and crush somebody's larynx on a daily basis and you choose not to. It's having the ability to be a stone cold killer and not ever using it. But the Andrew Tates of the world, those guys aren't all alpha males. That's not masculinity. It's being terrified of masculinity. And the people that I'm never going to speak about again are the same people. Do you understand? They're the same people. There's this self-hatred. The reason Andrew Tate is always talking about how women are worthless, and if you ever hear his stuff, it's just horrific. You want to look up the word misogyny? There's a picture of him in the dictionary next to the word misogyny. Now, there are people who will say it's shtick. It's not. A woman came out yesterday with a pretty horrific tale of what happened to her. He's going to be ending up back in court. The stuff that he preaches, he practices it as well. No respect for women. It's not an alpha male. It's the exact opposite. For real, it is the exact opposite. But all of these people do this from a place of self-hate. They can't be what a man is supposed to be. So they tear down everybody around them in the theory that if I just keep tearing people down, somehow it raises me up. And it's now a genre. Can you believe this crap? It's now a genre. It's disgusting. You're right, it is. Lindy says, Tommy, sometimes people try to warn you because they care about you, not to cause hate or harm. I say this with love. I wholeheartedly believe that. I think that the majority of time that somebody wants to send me something that they saw someone say about me, they're doing it from a place of love. But if you love me, you probably wouldn't see what someone was saying about me negative, right? What were you doing there in the first place? I'm not busting anybody's chops, but it's the garbage in, garbage out. I mean to tell you right now that I had a dose of that yesterday like nothing I've ever felt. I had to put down the computer. I had to step away from the stuff. And I had to say to my brother, I'm not doing a show on this tonight. Like I can't keep going in that direction. I can't believe Andrew Tate is not in prison. He seems to jump about different countries. Well, if you do a little research on that guy, nice guy. If you do a little research on that dude, his father was in the Central Intelligence Agency. Now, I'm not saying that's what's keeping him out of prison, but I don't think it hurts, right? And the ability for him to go from place to place and travel the way he did, maybe dad's got something to do with that. I don't know. I've come to a place where I know now, without a shadow of a doubt, that the majority of what I was taught growing up isn't true. The majority of the things that I have believed my whole life aren't true. And by the way, I'm talking about the stuff you can put your hands on. I'm talking about the stuff in this world. I'm not talking about the important stuff. I'm talking about on this planet. Stuff that I believed my whole life is BS. And I was looking out the window at 4 o'clock this morning at the lights of the city. And I was thinking about the people that built this planet. The people that built this planet aren't any different than you or me, except their values are different. Why would I want to impress a world built by people who hang artwork painted by pedophiles in their house? Why would I try to conform to a world that I am now really aware of, the fact that it is evil beyond belief? Some people confuse alpha male with predator. You mean some people confuse predator with alpha male? There are a lot of alpha males, at least the people who come out and do this stuff, they act like predators. They absolutely do. And they act like haters. Hey, Dylan, good to have you here. It's sad that our world is so insane. It really is. But I want to tell you something. My world won't be. I may be in it, but I'm not going to be of it. I am not going to be a part of this. Why would I want to impress a group of people who have proven that they're evil? Why will I change who I am to try to conform to a world that is fake? Honestly, it's like the show I did on body image. It took me a while to realize why women in this country are as confident with who they are as they are. Every single woman in this country walks around like they're Pamela Anderson. They all walk around with the confidence of, right, a rock star. And I think it's because they don't have garbage in to tell them that they're less than. They're not looking at 10,000 images a day of airbrushed women. You don't see the billboards. They're not shoving this stuff down our throats. So if you don't think that that stuff leaves an impression, if you don't think that you're programming yourself, you are. You are. You're programming yourself with what you look at, what you read, right? What you listen to. If the lyrics of the songs that you're listening to are violent and hateful, doesn't mean you're going to get a gun and go to a school, right? There were people that tried to sell us that concept in the 80s. But if you think it's going to make you kinder, you're just as stupid as the people that think that listening to music will make you into a killer. But it's going to have an effect. Everything that we allow into our gray matter, it's just like eating for the brain. If you eat garbage food, you're not going to be healthy. If you put garbage feces into your brain, it's what you're going to get. And then people sit and go, I don't know why I'm unhappy. You know how many times somebody's reached out and said, I'm really, really depressed. Why? I don't know. I'm just having a bad day. If you're just having a bad day, I assure you, you can just have a good day. Honestly, especially if you can't tell me why you're having a bad day, because I'll tell you why you're having a bad day. That's what you're accepting. That's what you're allowing to happen. It is a choice to be happy. I know that that may sound ridiculous. It is. But you have to realize that there is an enemy out there called the world. Don't change. It's the rest of the world that has gone insane, Tommy. Be you and trust your beautiful soul. I'm going to change. I'm going to change. And the reason I'm going to change is this. There are gurus. Ugh. I hope Johnny's in the bathroom. There are gurus. I'm not saying I'm one, I promise you. But there will be a day I am. Q most assuredly was a guru. This was an epiphany I had while writing. And the epiphany came from William. The epiphany came from a guy that isn't a content creator, and he's not somebody that you've seen anywhere. That dude changed my life. I think gurus come in and out of your life just long enough to change the trajectory of your life. I don't care anymore. I don't care. I promise. You're never going to hear me talk about it again. I'm going to talk about the people that didn't leave. I'm going to talk about the people that stuck around. Monk says, today I'm happy. I love that, man. So am I. And this is a day that, since my dad passed, has been the worst day of the year every single year. It's not even the day he died, which should suck, right? It's the last day in February. It's rugged for me, but not like his birthday. His birthday kills me because, look, the day he died, that was the the worst day that I can remember ever. Of course, it's going to be that crappy the following year, right? But his birthday was always a celebration, and it was always fantastic, and there was always a bunch of laughs. And it seems like on the 21st of July that there's just a hole in the middle of the planet that every positive thought or every bit of happiness that I have gets sucked into that hole. And I'm not unique. I've watched it suck the joy out of everybody in my family as well. It's not going to do that to me today. And you know what? It's not doing it to Johnny. And the crazy thing is, before we even had a chance to converse about any of this, my attitude this morning had him hopped up. And he had gotten I don't know whether it was a text or an email or something from Lisa Trimble, who just said, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't this your dad's birthday? And what that did for my brother, we're happy today because we're not going to take anything else but happiness. It's a choice. I swear to God it is. It may not make sense to you, but I swear to God it is. It's a choice. My dad was born July 7th, died July 21st. Tough couple of weeks. Yeah. Barbara, I know. And there are going to be times that choosing happiness might not work. There are going to be times that as hard as you try to be happy, it just might not work. On those days, you need the external hard drive. You need the journal, right? Do a gratitude thing. You need the external hard drive. Get out of your head, because if your head's not getting the job done, if the software inside your dome isn't doing it, then you need external hardware, right? Get out of your head. You want to hear something fascinating? This is no joke. Fascinating. Until yesterday, and I had to go back through my journals to look at this, but until yesterday, the ants in my dome have been dead. Honestly. And it's not because I'm in a new country. I mean, what happened was, if you go to a new country, right? Got to go. Have a great day outside under the Ecuador sky. Thank you, Blue Sky. Thank you for stopping by. Being in a new country is nice. Being in this country, everybody's really positive. That's a big thing. But when you leave to go somewhere else, most people will go, hey, I got a shot at a new start. I'm going to make some changes. Since I'm going someplace else, I'm going to make some changes. I'm not going to do some of the things that I did when I was in the United States. It was very much like Q saying to me, did you do this when you were when you were a junkie? Then don't do it anymore. Did you not do this when you were a junkie? Then you probably should start doing it. Well, it's not that I had to give up everything that I did in the United States, but the negative stuff that I did in the United States jumped off the page at me. It became very evident. So I said, I'm not going to do it. Attitude, a poem by Chuck Swindoll, has been on my fridge for decades to always remind me I get to choose. I met him. He's a friend of my uncle's, an amazing individual, really a good dude, and the genuine article. And I say that because there's some stuff in the news about some of these ministers, these preachers, these I don't know what you call them, but the ones that have these mega churches and they do television stuff and blah blah. Jules Mark Davis, good to see you. There's a lot of dirt coming out on a lot of those people. Chuck was the real deal. He was that guy when no one was looking. Real alpha males don't boast, bitch, and belittle. Yeah, They are usually the strong, silent, and protective ones. And that's kind of what I was saying about the stuff that I used to watch on television. When the guy came into town and started messing, I mean, obviously it's formulaic big time, but they would come into town, they would do something, usually to injure a woman that didn't have a guy. They were trying to take her farm, they were trying to do this, and the Matt Dillon would come in and fix it. He wouldn't shoot his mouth off about it. Even if he had to beat the hell out of the guy, he always looked like he was sick to his stomach about the fact that he had to do it, but he did it. If you enjoy beating someone up, that doesn't make you an alpha male. It makes you a sick bastard. But if you do something that you really don't want to do and you do it because it's the right thing at the moment, I think that makes you an alpha male. I also think that being confident enough in being who you are, that you can say, yeah, a woman is equal to me in every way, but I'm probably going to be better at picking up the trash. You know what I mean? Muscular kind of a thing. And there are going to be things that she's better at than I am because we were made that way. Yeah. I'm really kind of disgusted about where the world is, but I'm done talking about that. Doesn't mean I'm not going to let people know about what's going on with things like Epstein, and because I do think I have the ability as a speaker to explain some of this stuff in ways that even if other people are talking about, you're not going to get the message. And I'm not tooting my own horn, but I did spend a hell of a lot of time training on how to communicate in such a way that the people that listen to me get a message out of it. And sadly, there are a lot of people who sit in front of cameras that have never had that training. They're reading off a teleprompter. They don't take the time to research the stuff that they're actually talking about. You can really tell the difference too. It's one of the reasons that most people aren't getting their news from mainstream media anymore, or whatever you want to call it. You know, the big channels, big media, whatever you want to call it. Rush Limbaugh used to refer to the women as info babes. Got a lot of people really angry at the guy. He was a master of getting a lot of people really angry at him. But you know what? You think they're hiring a lot of these women because of just how fantastic they are at being journalists? Because the ones that seem to be really fantastic at being journalists have all left that media and have their own channels, and they're doing it themselves. I think they got tired of having people say, you can't do a story on that pedophile because he knows this person and that person. Or you can't do this story because they invest with this and this. I think that they get a lot of really handsome dudes and they get a lot of really attractive women and they sit them in front of cameras because we're more apt to look at somebody that society has told us is beautiful, which is jacked up if you think about it. Don't let society tell you what's beautiful. Tommy Bird, I'm glad you made it. Don't let society tell you what's beautiful. Don't let society tell you what's right. Honestly, this is what their goal is. They've been doing it forever. It's fascinating in a terrible way that this world that is so messed up, we strive so hard to impress. I'm done trying to impress anybody too. You watch. You watch. And I'm not being funny. If my subscriber count is dropping, that's not a bad thing. There are people I don't want to be around this channel. There are people I don't want to be around me. I'm not doing negativity. Make today a celebration. Today, in honor of Papa Scoville, talk about him, tell stories, eat his favorite food. I love this, Jane. Get some cake, celebrate him and his life today. I like it. Today will definitely be a celebration of my dad's life. But I'm going to tell you something. Tomorrow's going to be a celebration of my dad's life. So is the day after. If I had been celebrating my dad's life every day, we wouldn't be having this conversation. My dad had more confidence being different than the rest of the world than anyone I've ever met. And you know what? He didn't have to have the pressures that the rest of us had. Honestly, I mean, it's a very difficult thing when the world can now invade you to tell you what's cool and what's not, if you're doing right or not. We used to have to just look at billboards and do all of that stupid stuff. You know, what magazines you bought, you could absolutely say, I'm not going to buy into this. I'm not buying that magazine. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Can't make those choices anymore. We used to watch commercials. Now commercials watch you. The device is literally learning what they need to talk about in order to sell you things. They're studying you. That's why when you get TikTok, read. You don't have to go to TikTok. You don't have to download it. You could go to Google and ask them to look at what the agreement is with TikTok when you hit, okay, I want to subscribe or whatever the hell you call it to become a person that has that app. Because you agree to allow them to look at all your pictures, to read all your text messages, all of your emails, And you know what they say? So that we can tailor what you look at more to you. That's terrifying. You're going to decide what I look at? I know algorithms do that. I know they do. You know how I know that? Because I don't ever get hate in my feed. Nothing. I'm telling you. I don't have to not look at things that people make about me or other people because I don't allow hate in my feed. Now, you can research this. And the algorithm, did you ever see the movie Broadcast News? I have. Absolutely a great film. This whole we're going to program you thing gets terrifying. It really does. And we voluntarily let this in. It's not going to happen anymore. I promise you. Not for me. Not for me. To allow somebody to look at your most inner secrets so they can determine what you're going to look at, they will steer you in a direction, and they don't do it by jumping off of the cliff. They do it in steps this small, so that before you know it, I'll tell you a story because it will embarrass my friend Jack if he ever happens to see this. But I used to give my dope to Jack when I went home, 6 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night. When he and I would go to our separate houses, I would give him whatever I had, because if I had an ounce, I would just continue to use it until I collapsed. You know, it's heroin. I would just keep doing it until I fell asleep. I didn't have the ability to put it down. There are alcoholics who are this way. Can't leave a drink on the table. In fact, I've never met an alcoholic that could leave anything in a glass. It's fascinating, the kind of stuff that addiction does. But Jack would go home. He'd do, you know, 2 $10 bags or whatever out of the stash. And then the next day he would show up at my house with the rest of it. And it just became a much easier way for me to not do a hell of a lot more dope. So
that was harm reduction.
Harm reduction. Yeah, harm reduction of a sort. It was actually economic harm reduction. So I said to him, I called him in the morning. It was about 8 o'clock. I said, hey, I'm starting to feel bad. You need to get here. 9 o'clock. I said, hey, I called him. Where the hell are you? You said you were going to be here. He's like, oh, I'm really, really sorry. I'll be there as fast as I can. I'm sorry, man. I screwed up, but I'm on my way. I've punched Jack in the face about 5 times. At that time in my life, I was just not a great person. I said to him, you're looking to get the crap smacked out of you, man. You need to get here. No lie. He showed up at 11:40. And I won't tell you all of the different conversations and everything that happened between then and him showing up. But when he finally got there, I didn't hit him, but I grabbed him, sort of roughed him up against the wall and said, you better tell me what was so damn important that you were going to let me get sick before you showed up here. And I swear to God, this is the truth. He went, midget clown porn. I said, what did you just say? Midget clown porn. I said, what the hell is that? He said, apparently it's a genre. And I said to him, what the hell were you doing typing in? He said, I didn't type it in. And it's funny because at the time, it just seemed like the funniest thing in the world to me that's what the cat was looking at. And I said to him, you find this arousing? He said, not at all. He said, I really don't. I just couldn't stop looking at it. And it's a funny story. But it's a wicked good example of just how if they start steering you just a little bit off course, right? Especially the people that can invade your life. You wouldn't let scumbags come into your house. The kind of people that I was talking about the other night who have that artwork hanging on their wall, right? Like Tony Podesta. You wouldn't let these people into your home. How do you keep someone from affecting your ability to be happy in a negative way? Cut them out of your life like a cancer, unless you can't. There are people that you can't cut out of your life. People that I know for a fact have gone out of their way to trash me. I just don't deal with it anymore. I don't have time for negativity. I don't. It's insane that trolls extend their hate to everyone. I went to Nashville meetup and a content creator used our picture as a thumbnail and mocked all of us because they hate themselves, Renee B. Do you understand? The reason that they're doing this is because they're looking at a gathering, a meetup, where everybody there is happy. There's smiles on all of your faces. And those smiles were created by somebody that they don't like. So the other option, right? The other option is that they can sit down and go, why does this piss me off? Why am I looking at a picture of 20 people smiling, 10 people smiling? I don't know how many people at your meetup, but you understand what I'm saying. Why do other people's happiness literally make me feel pain? That's a hard one right there, isn't it? That's going to make you grab a friggin' journal and go to work. That's going to make you maybe read a couple of books. It's a whole lot easier just to call you all fat bitches, right? Wouldn't that just be a lot easier? It's disgusting. But that's the world. So how do you, if you can't remove the people from your life, pray for them. You would not believe what that does for you. And then the other thing is this. If I said to you, here, do me a favor. Put a 2 in the chat if you believe that there are angels. Clifton, good to see you. This is not a religious thing. Don't trip. Rise Within, good to see you. You're right. Hurt people, no question. But you'll hear people say, oh, that woman is an angel, right? And they don't mean that she descended from heaven. They mean that this person does things that are almost supernatural in their ability to make you feel better about who you are, right? Even if you don't believe in a higher power, there are still people who believe that there are folks on this planet who are angels in human form. I know one. I saw her in the chat earlier. There are these people that you just kind of feel that way about, and everybody seems to agree. So the logical question would be, if there are angels, right, walking the planet, even if it's just a metaphorical angel, even if you don't believe in if there are people who seem to have something angelic embodying them, why would there not be people who have demonic demons that embody them? I'm sorry, but it's absolutely real. Negativity, call it whatever you want. I love the illustration of the demon and the angel because it's so graphic. It's something that makes sense in everybody's head. And from the time of cartoons, right? You know, the little guy with the pitchfork shows up on the left shoulder, and the little guy with the halo or the lady with the halo shows up on the right shoulder. There are people on this planet who lean to the ugly in everything they do. And imagine what it does for your soul if you just do that every single day. They'll mock this. They'll probably make a thumbnail of it. I don't care. I really don't. When the time comes for them to close their eyes for the last time, when they start winding down their channel or they get ready to move on from what they do, you think a lot of people are going to reach out and say, hey, you know what? The people in your chat changed my life. The people in your chat made me a better person. The people in your chat were always there for me when I was having a bad day. The content that you did, I heard it on a day when I needed to, and I quit using. You think they get a lot of that? I don't. I worked with a negative guy for 39 years. I treated him with kindness and respect. Some days it worked, and other days I avoided him and turned on my headphones. You know what, Dennis? That's why you're still sober. That's why you're still sober. If you can't, and this is, I'm telling you, this is such a fantastic learning lesson. Even if you don't have headphones, kill them with kindness. And there are days that that's going to work for you. On the days it doesn't, shut out the noise, even if you don't have headphones. If that means getting a little bit further away from them, if it means singing one of your favorite tunes in your head while you hear them say racist things or whatever it is that makes them the most reprehensible people that you know, takes a conscious effort. And I'll tell you something else too. Look at the physiology. Look at how these people look. Do they look happy to you? Do they look healthy to you? They look like they're dying. There's a reason for that. This stuff kills you. Hatred is a kind of cancer. It really is. And the reason that they couldn't stand looking at you having fun, Renee B, is because they believe that the content creator that you went to see helped make that fun happen. And all of those people, for the most part, started their channels in hopes of being able to imitate that in someone else. They saw someone who created a community of people that loved one another. My God, that's an aphrodisiac right there, right? I mean, that makes people want to create channels. Somebody left a comment on Johnny Scoville's video the other day, and it said something about a beautiful decline or some kind of decline. Like he was watching my brother's failure in life is really what he was getting at. And my brother said, the comment he left back was, you know what, don't be so hard on yourself. Sort of turn to the tables kind of a thing. But he wasn't being an ass. He was just saying to the guy, you know what, maybe it's your decline. And I'm going to pray for you. Fascinating thing happened. Johnny said to me, I'm going to leave another comment and I'm going to kind of fix that. I feel like I don't want to come across like I was being negative. I'm going to fix that. Before he had a chance to, the person left another comment, swear to God. And the person said, you're right. It is about me. Whoa, what? If Johnny had said, beat it, asshole, probably wouldn't have had the same effect. You kill people with kindness, and occasionally it will do something that will change somebody. I've told the story a million times. We got a lot of new people on the boat. I went to a religious meal in prison, and it's kind of the coolest day of the year because you can sit at a table with a black dude and eat. So you're never going to do that in prison other than at these functions. And they do it for every religion, right? Every religion has one day a year where they can all get together and you have a feast is what they call it, but you can sit down and you can eat. And there was nobody black at my table just because of where I happen to have sat down. But a black guy came up and went, are you cool with me sitting here? I said, absolutely. He goes, because I just wanted to talk to you. I said, me? He goes, yeah. I said, sure, what's up? Now, I kind of ran the kitchen. I handled the payroll. I did all of the ordering. So I figured it was probably had something to do with that because about 15, 20% of the guys there work in the kitchen. So I was like, yeah, what can I do for you? He said, the conversation that we had changed my life. And every time I see you, I think I should go up and tell you that. You know what I mean? But I don't. Now that we're here and there's nobody around, because black guys and white guys don't talk in prison, not in public. So he said, I just wanted you to know how much you changed my life. He said, because from that day forward, I have lived differently. And I said, wow, man. And I gave him a hug and he walked off. And the guy I was sitting with was a white dude named Turtle from Tennessee. And Turtle said to me, wow, dude, what did you tell him? I said, I don't know who the hell he is. I don't remember ever seeing the guy, much less talking to him. No memory of it. You don't know what day you got a shot at being a guru. It'd be really awful, though, if you were an asshat on the day that you should have been a guru. Last night, my brother was doing a live, and a guy said, this is it. I'm going to be done drinking. He got a beer, and he said, when this beer is done, I'm moving on to water. And then somebody else in the chat said something along the lines of, yeah, well, Johnny was the one that got me sober. And Johnny said, I didn't get you sober, right? Nobody gets anybody sober. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I've said it 500 times, but hearing him say it, I thought to myself, maybe it did help get him sober. Maybe he had a big hand in it. Yeah, no gurus. What happens if the student is ready and the teacher is the person that made the thumbnail from the meetup to pick on people? What if the teacher, the only one available, is someone that calls people ugly or fat or uses the N-word? What if when the student is ready, there is no teacher? How do you know you're not supposed to be the teacher for someone's epiphany? Dennis from Boston was nice to this guy for 39 years. Didn't take. But you know what? If the student had been ready in any of those days, Dennis would have been the teacher. If the guy wasn't a dyed-in-the-wool, born and bred asshat, the kindness that he was receiving from somebody that he had been bad to might have just changed his life. I picture them as having physical illness, and I pray for them to feel better. I don't care who you are. Hate will never make you happy. You're damn right. Tommy Bird says, yeah, no one gets sober alone either. You're right. You're right. But I'll tell you what you can do alone. You can be kind. You can start the process by taking action. What are you afraid of? The number of people that have reached out and said, I love the shows you're doing in the morning. I haven't started journaling yet, right? I'm not ready to start journaling yet. Why the hell not? Honestly, what are you afraid of? You afraid of change? Because I'll tell you right now that nobody on planet Earth has ever said there was no change whatsoever and God, my life got fantastic, right? I am happier than I've ever been because I didn't change a thing. Ever heard that one? Me either. Everyone is always learning something. You're absolutely right. And whether you like it or not, everybody is always teaching something. Whether you want to be that teacher or not, you're going to be. I told the story about the black guy that came up and sat down at the table. I've told it 100 times, right? I really have. I've told it so many times. And I'm always looking at the positive side of that because it's a beautiful story. But it got me thinking, how many times was a student ready and I was an asshat? Because for the first 46 years of my life, I was a professional asshat. Never been better. No one had ever been better. How many people did I screw up in the first 46 years of my life? How many people did I have a shot of affecting in a positive way? And I acted like the people that used Renee B for a thumbnail. That's a scary concept. Might not be for you, but it's a terrifying concept for me. I communicate for a living. And you can, people go, boy, man, you got a gift. When someone says that, ask yourself where the gift came from, right? Because to me, I do believe I have a gift in the ability to communicate. I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm not. But I do have a gift in my ability to communicate. And I have used that gift in the past to do things that certainly didn't make the earth a better place. I would really hate to think that I'm going to blow an opportunity going forward. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I was journaling. If somebody came by my channel while I was complaining about the people that left this channel, would they stick around? Probably not. If somebody came along and I was talking about all of the people that turned their back on me, I probably am not putting forward an image that is going to be a good sales pitch for why don't you stick around? We talk about changing your life. I kind of sound like somebody that's hung up on the past and a little pissed off. And that's really not it's really not the truth. It's not who I am. When was the last time you called or text someone to say thank you to the person that changed your life? This morning. But if you had asked that yesterday, I might have answered it differently. But I did it this morning because that was another epiphany of mine. When William left a message and said, someday I hope I can do something for you, I thought, he has no clue that he's already done something so major in my life. You guys wouldn't be listening to me if William didn't leave a message, a comment the day that he did. The comment that he left is the reason I continued to do this stuff when I wasn't even having fun doing it. I'm having a ball. I swear to God, I'm having a ball. I used to look at my sub count and I was really hung up on it. I don't care anymore. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, I honestly don't care. If I see the sub count drop, I think to myself, that's not a student. That's not somebody that wants to make their life better. That's not somebody that feels the love in my chat that everyone else does. And you know something? It's like the people at the AA and the NA meetings who are forced to go there by the courts. It only takes about 2 or 3 of them to destroy an entire room full of people that want to change their lives. And there are people in there that want to change their lives who are walking a tightrope. They're on the edge of a friggin' razor blade. And I know that because every time I was in one of those rooms, I was the guy on the razor blade. And twice I lost my sobriety. I lost my focus. I lost my everything I had in the parking lot. And once I did it with a guy I'd never even met. Like I didn't even know this dude, but we made eye contact. And all it took was making eye contact with somebody. I was the student and the teacher was there. You can teach somebody the wrong thing. You know that, right? When the student is ready, you know how many times a student has been ready to get off of fentanyl and the person that came across their path went, oh, no, you don't want to get on Suboxone. Are you kidding me? That stuff's poison. That's just the USA trying to have you on drugs so that they can make the money instead of the dope dealer, and gave him some big pitch and had the person walk away going, yeah, no, you're right. I'll just throw the dice on the 1 in 6 chance that this pill is going to have more than 2 milligrams of fentanyl in it. It's terrifying to me. You sold me years again when you said you have no idea, guys. I am one broken toy. Right then, I knew I could relate, and you weren't showing the way to success in 6 easy steps. It's 5, 0, 0, 5. Stick around. Five easy steps. We'll get you where you want. When I changed the name of the channel to Expat Tommy Scobo, I never intended to leave it like that. Right? It was my way of saying we're not on vacation. I was telling the world that I had moved, and then I was going to put it back to the lifeboat. And I looked at my brother and I was like, I'm going to call it the love boat. You know why? And this is going to make so much sense, I promise you. Do you know why I changed it to the love boat? Because I don't care if you're praying to Jesus or Buddha or Brahma, right? Or magic mushrooms. Love, it always comes back to love. I don't care if you don't believe. There's love and there's hate. There's no getting away from it. And you're either following love or you're following hate. So this is the love boat, man. This is the love boat. And I promise you that if you choose love, good things are going to happen. And if you don't, bad things are going to happen. And not just to you. You don't know when you're going to say something to somebody that changes their life. And I literally mean you don't know. And if you're thinking to yourself, yeah, maybe you can do that, John. You know, I can't, man. It's way different for you than it is for me. This is a disease. You understand? Do you know how many people on planet Earth believe that everybody other than them has it all put together? That everybody other than them has it all figured out? That's the biggest disease that we have on planet Earth. They all have it figured out. They are all happy. They are all successful. Me, no, it's not meant for me. The difference between people that are happy and the people that aren't, it's not just a matter of choosing happiness, because that's huge. They take action. I know a guy that has read 5 times more self-help books than I have, but he doesn't make his bed in the morning. The first thing you can do to take action, simple as hell, cleaning your room. First thing you can do to take action to change your life. If you don't take action, it doesn't matter how much you know. It doesn't matter, you can recite that crap back till the end of time. But if you don't apply the things that will change your life, then forget about it. It's not going to work. Tommy, I didn't know anything about it as I hadn't watched for a while with the time zones and work commitments. But I don't care what anyone else says. I trust my judgment. I see your light. What a beautiful thing to say. Man, what a beautiful thing to say. I love that. Here's the thing. Truthfully, the incredible thing is that, there are still people that take sides and there are still people that want to hate. But the crazy thing is the two people aren't mad at each other at all. I absolutely still love Reese. I hope fantastic things happen to her every day. And there's not a day that goes by that I don't pray for her. And I'll tell you something, for all of the people out there, she's one of the most beautiful human beings I've ever seen. And I mean that physically and spiritually and emotionally. Now, she wasn't that day. And I'm not saying that to pick on her. I'm saying it because I can't think of a better example. The most beautiful people on planet Earth can choose a day and be ugly. I did. In fact, if I hadn't strung together weeks of choosing to be ugly, then that day never would have happened. And that's just the truth. And I promise you, folks, when I say between now and the next time I see you, put a little love in your heart, you will never hear me talk about negative people on this channel ever again. And I know there are people who are going, yeah, whatever. But Dennis, I love you, man. And you know what? The message, it is a good one. Whether you like me or not, it's a hell of a message. Kathy B, those who have gone through the most are life's greatest teachers. You are helping so many because you share your life lessons. Well, I got one for you that might shock you. The best thing that has happened to me since getting out of prison was the long con video. Wow. And my life started to change. By the way, I knew that a hot minute ago. But when I could articulate it onto a journal, then I started thanking God for it. And you wouldn't believe how my life has changed since then. It removed people from my life that shouldn't have been there. It removed people from this channel that shouldn't have been here. And it also brought me back to what this channel started to be. I can talk about crime in a way that other people can't, and I know that. I can. It's because I spent 46 years dead ass in the middle of it. But you know what? It isn't why I started this channel. It's not. So it doesn't mean I'm not going to do true crime. There are things that I am going to have to talk about. Absolutely. The Epstein thing. If I hear someone else doing it and they're doing it in a way that I feel like, I'll just tell you to go there. But there are times that certain messages need to come out. It didn't need to be 4 months of Diddy. I was doing that because it was paying. And I never started this channel to make a buck. Kathy B, thank you so much. It really means the world to me. It really does. But prison changed my life in a wildly positive way. It was the most difficult thing that I've ever had to endure, but it changed my life in a really positive way. So is the long con video. And it sucks because a lot of people got hurt in the process. And it gave, fuel for the people I'm never going to talk about again. And when I say I'm never going to talk, I'm not even going to mention them like that. I don't say their names ever. But it will be a vacuum. You bring it up and I'm going to look at the camera like the dog does. Huh? What are you talking about? I'm letting that in. I'm letting that in. Yeah, have you ever watched somebody make a sword? Renee B says, I found all the hardships I went through have helped others. Absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. Especially if you're open and honest. If you go through hardships and you hold it inside like this and pretend it didn't happen, you're not going to help anybody. You're not. If you get your butt kicked by planet Earth and you admit it, if you show the world that you're vulnerable, they'll listen to you. It's not fun. I can't think of anything less fun than showing the world that you're vulnerable. Nothing is less fun. But if your goal is to actually help people, you might want to give it a try. There's that old cliche, right? That people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? It's a cliche, but all cliches are cliches because they're solid, because they make sense. Because the first time somebody heard it, they went, damn, that makes a lot of sense. And then it just kept. I stopped caring. I stopped caring. And I definitely stopped caring about all of you. But the way that I stopped caring about all of the people that are important in life is I stopped caring about myself. I was going for the pay. And I'll tell you something. I was having $10,000 months on YouTube, right? For a small channel like me, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. But when I started this channel and I actually went to content creators who were super successful and all this stuff, and they said, you're going to do live. At the time, long form content was dog crap. Nobody got paid on it. Short videos, because that's the attention span of most people, right? But when they said to me, no, if you're going to do live stuff, you're not going to make $1. You're going to be doing long form. By the way, what you're talking about is depressing. No one's going to come to watch it. Be funny, right? Make videos where a guy gets hit in the nuts with a baseball. You'll make some money. Show them kittens. Those kind of things, you know. I go on gut feelings and instincts. You shine very bright, Tommy. It's human and humbling to admit your flaws. Well, you know what? I might be shining today. You should go look at some of my other videos, right? If you haven't seen one from 5 or 6 months ago, I'm never going to take them down, but I promise you I wasn't shining anything. I wasn't. But what are you afraid of? Today, write it in your journal. That's a question that you should ask every single day. If you're not writing in the journal, ask yourself, why not? What are you afraid of? And if the answer is, I'm afraid that somebody's going to read my journal, because I get that a lot. And I can understand why, if somebody psychologically raped you by looking at your thoughts without your permission, that's going to leave a mark on you for the rest of your life. I also understand that it's 2025, right? You could go to a Home Depot and buy a safe, right? A little small number that no one's going to get into without really putting a lot of effort into trying to read your thoughts. This is not something that is insurmountable. If your fear is that someone's going to read your words, write it and burn it. You're not going to get the entire effect, but you're going to do a hell of a lot better than not writing at all. Diddy negatively affected so many people. Yeah, you're right. But I chose to allow that to negatively affect me. It's not like last night, I said, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to do something that's going to take me into a place that's just negative and ugly. I'm not going to do it. I can take it in doses. Last night, it would have been really unhealthy, so I just didn't do it. But the problem with the Diddy stuff was I would watch other content creators to get my content. No bueno. No bueno. I need to do the research. I need to look at the stuff, because if it were to happen all over again, when I stopped making Diddy content, I didn't stop researching Diddy. I started researching Diddy. And a lot of the stuff that I came on and talked about, those lawsuits, they were made up wholeheartedly. And I'm not saying the guy's a good dude. I believe he does exactly what we think he does. But a lot of people came out of the woodwork to try to get at some of that $400 million or whatever he had. Late joiner, good to see you, Jesse O. Yeah, you research it by yourself, and it's a very different thing. I would have been doing shows, but I would have been saying, you know, that ambulance chaser from Texas, I thought he was a hero. He's not. And he had to know. I'm not a lawyer, man, but none of that stuff passed the smell test. I mean, it was so bad, it was incredible. And it doesn't take more than 6 minutes with a figure that is that well known to go, okay, so this person said this happened on such and such a date, and you start researching it, and the guy's doing a concert in a different country. You know, well, I got off course. I got wildly off course. And I know that there were students who popped up while the teacher was absent. And that's a bummer. That's really a bummer, because of the number of people that we buried on this channel, the number of people who've died on this channel. And I know that this isn't healthy, so don't send me an email and say, I'm not blaming myself for anybody's death. I'm not. But it doesn't mean I can't really try hard to make sure that the people who show up here don't kill themselves. I can do everything I can. But this is the point I'm going to end on. Do you know why I hate suicide? You know the answer to this, because I've said it so many times. Suicide doesn't remove your problems. It passes them on to the people that you love. Right? That's what it does. If you're not doing things to make your life better, you're killing yourself. You're committing suicide every single day. And you're passing the problems on to the unborn you that is going to wake up tomorrow morning. Did you catch that? Choosing inactivity, choosing to not pull the trigger. You don't have to become perfect overnight, but for the love of God, take a step forward, because there is no standing still. You're moving backwards. If you're not taking a step, make your damn bed. And if that's not something that you can see as a goal, then set a goal for tomorrow morning that you can knock out as soon as you wake up. Yeah, it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. That's why your cat has bruises. Your cat runs into everything in sight. She's a lunatic. If you're not moving forward, you're killing yourself. And you're leaving that to tomorrow morning's guy, who should be waking up like I did this morning with, this is the first day of the rest of my life. And you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to have the same epiphany. It'll be a different thing that gets it going. But I'm going to wake up tomorrow like, this is my shot. I'm going to wake up tomorrow like the world, society, God, and me will judge me on what I do that day. I don't have a past and I don't have a future. I got 24 hours to do good and fear not. I'm not going to waste one of those days. I made my bed today, says the bee lady. You think it sounds silly. The number of people that have said to me, I started making my bed when I thought you were an idiot. Since then, and then they spit out all the things, all the fantastic things that have happened. Everything starts with a spark, right? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of?
Jesse will call you old.
I love this. There you go. The truth. I always come here to get a dose of wisdom from people older than me. Didn't disappoint today either. You know what's funny, Jesse O? Johnny Scoville shouts from the kitchen, Jesse O just called you old. That's great. Even when you were at your worst, you still shown a good soul and a beautiful man. Thank you, Archie's mom. What a beautiful thing to say. Honestly, what a beautiful thing to say. Do me a favor, people. Be a guru. For real. Be a guru. Be your own guru. But don't risk blowing the maybe one opportunity you have of your life to be a guru. Because I think I understand the concept now. I think a guru is that person that forces you to go left or right. I think a guru says something to you at the time in your life when you're a student, and whether this person ever read a book or ever did self-help or thinks they're Tony Robbins or any of that stuff, They're going to say something that's going to make you evaluate your life and take a left or a right. They're not going to make a choice for you. They're not going to steer you in a direction, but they're going to say something that's going to make you think about either going left or right. Caroline, you don't get a choice. I don't want to be a guru either. In fact, I have literally shot myself in the foot because I don't want to be a guru. And it's not going to happen again. You are the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with. Yep, that's absolutely a fact. Absolutely a fact. Right? Our parents probably said, if you lay down with dogs, you get up with fleas. What are you watching? What communities are you a part of? What magazines do you buy? What are you voluntarily allowing to program your mind? I got news for you. I'm not letting anything program my mind ever again. Yeah, I think the internet and YouTube ruined the guru, making it a strict business. Yeah, you know something? Gurus definitely shouldn't be a business. And everybody here is going to have a shot at being a guru, whether you realize it or not. And it may be just like that lunch I had. You may change someone's life without having any idea that you did, but not if you're an asshat. You got to be like Dennis. And even if the person treats you like hammered feces for 39 years and it's just a jerk, you just got to keep killing them with kindness. I'm going to pray for him. That's what I'm going to do. You don't have to pray for him. If you're not someone that prays, but if you give it a shot, you won't believe what it does for you. Right? People talk about people renting space in their head. I'll tell you something, folks. I got nothing in my head that I don't want there. First time in a very long time, but everything in my head I'm really happy with. And you may not believe this, but I can't remember the last time I was this happy. That's a fact. And I'm a lot happier today with 67 people in my chat than I was 6 months ago with 2,200. You start putting what is important on the wrong things, and man, oh man, you can end up in a really ugly place. Trust me, I made a career of it. All right, people, you know what this means, don't you? It means you're never going to hear the T word come out of my mouth ever again. For real. If I'm talking about trolls, it's probably going to be a reference to Shrek or something along those lines. Is he a troll? What is Shrek? He's an ogre. If I say troll, it'll literally be talking about somebody that lives under a bridge. I'm never going to say the word troll again on this channel. You have my word. I'm never going to talk about the people that left. I'm never going to talk about any of that stuff because it's not moving me in a direction that I want to go in. And more importantly, whether I like it or not, sometimes I may have to play that part. Ugh. But I'm going to embrace trying to make people's lives better. I'm still going to get angry if you use the G word. But I am going to do everything I can to embrace why I started this channel in the first place. And I'm a lot smarter than I was when I started this channel. Thank you for your honesty, Tommy. I am myself from perfect and suddenly, or far from perfect. And suddenly I'm 2 months into fighting cancer. Can we get some ones for Lady Lumber? You never know what life is about to throw at you. Listening to you makes me calm. Oh, wow. How cool is that? Can we get some thoughts and prayers? Hey, Vanessa, keep coming back here. Keep coming back here, because I promise you, the people in this audience can deliver more than just making you calm. We got a pretty cool audience here. All right, folks, I'm going to be back tonight. Probably not going to be as fun a message, but I will be back tonight at 5 minutes after 7 o'clock on the west coast of the United States. Between now and then, put a little love in your heart. It's all over. Never hear the other side again. Have a great day, everybody. I love you, and I mean that.